Welcome back to another episode. That's right, we've only got 5 of these things left with a few sprints still curtailed in there. But we are here, we are keeping up with the hype, with the excitement. Even if the main championship may be over, there are still many stories to unfold in the world of F1 in 2023. So we are here to preview the start of what is a triple header back to back to back. It's going to be spicy, it's going to be hard. Thank God the drivers have had a chance to rest after that Qatar Grand Prix. Glad that it wasn't a back-to-back for them. All the mechanics had to tidy up in that heat. But yes, we do look forward to a race that, you know, it feels like we've been here a while now, but it is still relatively new in the grand scheme of motorsport and F1. But it's normally kind of a banger. Not just because the track is really good, but hey, it's often quite a bit of fun. The promoters try to have a bit of fun with it too. I think we might be in for a fun one. But what are you looking forward to? Is this one in your top 10?
Oh, easily, yeah. Just a lot of in the back end of the season. I feel like there's a lot of tracks I really enjoy.
In general, this calendar's not looking that bad. So it's nice to have every weekend you go, this is a banger. This is a banger.
Because it just has a bit of everything. It's like fast and flowy, and it's all about rhythm here, and if you can get into that rhythm, then you can be very, very quick. But if you sort of lose sync with that rhythm, you can lose it very, very quickly. Like we've seen even in those sort of twisty circuits, particularly that Sector 3 right before the last straight, we've seen a lot of like side-by-side battles all the way through there, and it's just really, really good for racing. And that first, like, T1 is always crazy, the uphill sort of braking zone into the hairpin.
Yeah, it's still very unique.
It's good. It's a good circuit. And having the sprint here as well is going to be another thing that's... we obviously haven't seen that here. We do see some track limits here as well. Not quite as much as we've had at other tracks, but that could throw up some things for qualifying as well.
It could.
So
you raised some good points there. I think on track limits, you're right, we might see it a little bit. This is probably a track that the new hard and fast rule probably helps, because there's not many corners where you see that it's a bit luck whether a driver goes off or not. Like there's kind of like some of like the second last corner, you could say in the last corner, but... It's, you've kind of just got to be absolutely throwing it to the wind to not go out there. You'd say this is more like there's skill with the track limits rather than it just being, a toss of the coin, similar to, we've seen at some previous courses. And particularly for the racing, which should help with the sprint, this is one where, yes, it can be very tight and twisty, but there's a lot of corners where if you do kind of slip up or you leave a little door open, someone can kind of dive up your inside quite easily. There's a lot of corners where someone can go for a move just because the track widens or it's got some strange, curbing and such.
It also, there's a lot of, you can switch back, and because of the nature of the corners as well, the fight's not over just after that one corner. Like, they can't just close off the apex and, there we go. Because
if someone overtakes you, it's not like they're just then ahead of you. They're often going to be overtaking you by compromising themselves, and then you, if you're clued in, could take advantage of that. And I think I'm quite excited because a lot of circuits, even Qatar, Miami, where we've seen this type of thing, we didn't see it in the past, and yet Austin would have always seen it. So now coming here, especially with a sprint, you'd think hopefully people are really going to go for it. We say the sprint, it's only a sprint, but there's still points that matter. We've still seen some small teams, often Williams and Albon get points here, right, as well in sprints. So I think people are going to go hell for leather and really, just try to throw something in the wind, even if it's to get a few points. But then if they lose it, well, then they only lose a few points as well. But we do have, interestingly, a few little updates. In particular, one team near the back has decided, I guess because, look, they're in their home territory now, they want to have a good showing. Haas have apparently brought a big aerodynamic update that they've been working on for most of the year. I don't know if they dubbed it, or the media dubbed it, or everyone dubbed it, basically to make it more like a Red Bull Haas. Not surprising to hear that. I mean, this is similar to what Aston did early on. This is similar, I think, to what McLaren have done, what Mercedes are basically saying they're kind of looking at that they're going to have to do. So they've got a big update. They're also bringing a new livery. I mean, they always do something here, given that they are the default American team.
Very freedom, that livery.
Yes, it's very freedom. It's flashy.
They just need an eagle on the side, and there you go. It'd be perfect. It's very America, like aggressively American.
Yes, it is, which we're not surprised by. It's, of course, even though we talk about America now, you think of Logan Sargent, but they are still, the American-based team with the American ownership.
2 hours later.
But yes, so we'll have to see whether it's a curse or a blessing. It's almost hard to say. But we'll see how they go here. I didn't see any other teams that had any major or minor updates. Did you have any that you noticed?
Yeah, I did see a couple. So Mercedes and AlphaTauri are both bringing new floors.
Okay.
It looks like AlphaTauri, it's more, they've brought sort of updates to their floor for the last couple of races, so they're obviously tweaking.
So they're
and
iterating, and they're still iterating. Got it.
Yeah, the Merc one is actually quite a bit bigger. It is like they're saying it's a new floor, and they're banking a lot of their 2024 progress on it. It seems like so they're just like, this is. It sounds like it's probably going to be their last, at least big upgrade potentially. And it's just like they're saying it should hopefully give us some time. But it's more like, is this, it's going to show them if they're heading in the right direction for next year. So,
got it.
While they're not super expecting it to be like this massive gain that'll just like, jump them to the front again. But it's sort of, they're using it as a guide. It's like, okay, if this works, then we know sort of I guess they're obviously they're looking at changing their design for 2024. And if all the correlations go well, they'll be like, okay, this is what they're going to go with for 2024. So, so I think that one's going to be a real interesting one to look at, because if they come out of the gates flying, then we know that it could lead to something potentially even for next year, not just the rest of this year. So,
well, it depends, right? Like they might not come out flying, but then they may still say they see what they need to see. Like, it depends if it's something that might be like not a direct compatibility with their current car, but they may be using the end of this year almost as like an extended test session. They might put a few bells and whistles here just to, check a few things. Who knows? I mean, if they've, I guess that because they've come out and said as such, right? So it's not just like we're hypothesizing here per se. So for them to mention that would infer that they're not necessarily just chasing dire performance, but they'd still want to be getting performance because that battle, near the top is so close, and they'd still not want to sacrifice that either. So you can imagine it's probably a bit for this year, a bit for next year, probably a bit of margin.
Definitely.
And you're right, that AlphaTauri, they seem to be still iterating it. And I think I can't remember if it was them or someone else said that they're still towards the end of the year. It might have been even Haas, that they're still gonna iterate here and there just towards the end of the year. And as we talked about at the end of, or even during and the end of Qatar, because the battle for 7th to 10th is so close, any little upgrade those teams can have can mean massive things. I mean, even the Alfa Romeo getting 8th and 10th is big, and they actually said that was after a lot of work and a lot of kind of setup changes and some small changes they brought, and they're hoping that will continue on for the rest of the year. It wasn't just like, oh, Qatar, we did well, that was a fluke. They're saying no,
seem to be on
this
top
is what
of
we're
it.
expecting now. And they're not that far behind Williams, but everyone else isn't far behind them, so that's why these little things matter. So it'll be very interesting to see.
AlphaTauri in particular being plumb last, like they want to probably at least try and get Haas. Like I think they're on 5 points to Haas's 13, so it's gonna take.
And yet Haas are the one bringing a giant upgrade, so it's like, it's
Alfa Romeo think they've got things figured out. Williams are like, you would expect them to be higher if Sargent was getting points, and so it's still all to play for, and I think there's some big points up for grabs for the rest of the year. So
and I think a few little things. I think maybe Merc is maybe a little bit of a question mark, partly because we saw Russell be so strong last week despite having that incident. You then in theory think Hamilton would have been quite strong. They'll of course want to come here and prove something, and as you say, because they do have that little update, they might actually come out the gate and be far ahead of McLaren, but I guess we'll get into that soon enough what we actually think. But it certainly makes it difficult.
And Ferrari has historically been pretty fast here as well.
Yes, they have enjoyed this track. This was Kimi's hunting ground after all. So.
They've also been historically pretty good in sprint races as well. I think it's interesting to note as well. I actually looked it up. I looked up the highlights because I'm pretty sure I remember this. The whoever starts P1 starts on the right side of the grid, which is the outside.
Yes.
Which is not favorable. You don't really want to be on the outside coming into T1 because you just get pushed wide.
It's a bit of a catch, because you're right. It's not that long a jump, but you also then have the racing line, which can be massive. So you sometimes see teams... I think it was even was it Alonso in the sprint in Qatar was doing a bit of, I don't know what session it was, whether it was at the end of the race, whether it was like lining up to the grid where he was almost like trying to lay rubber down near where he was starting on the main race or something. I feel like there was something like that happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
And I feel like there might be a similar thing here where because that side of the track can get super dusty and never used, and that really can matter here because that traction's so critical to get up that hill. Who knows, you might see some drivers, maybe hovering over there if they're by themselves during the sprint if they're starting over there. I wouldn't be surprised, especially Alonso. That's the type of thing he'd do ahead of everyone else. He's just clued in for that stuff, so keep an eye on him.
And you see Max just doing it on the P1 spot anyway, like in P1, like regardless of what happens, just doing it on the P1 spot. Yeah.
On the Thursday on the bike, he's out there scrubbing his bike tire across it.
And the one thing we haven't mentioned, and
hold on, I think the one thing you're gonna mention, maybe hold it. I've got something to do with that later.
Right,
so
never mind. I was about to say we're 14 minutes in and we haven't mentioned.
I know.
So.
I conveniently was just like, I got an idea. So don't freak out, fans. Don't unsubscribe yet if you're of a certain nationality that we might be part of too. So it's all good.
Well, way to give it away. Ruin the illusion.
Well, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Yes, Oscar Piastri has signed for Red Bull. No, I'm kidding.
Wouldn't surprise me the way his signings have gone in the past. So.
I know. We'll get into predictions. We do have to review last week, which was a sprint predictions. It turned out that despite you being a lot more on the right trajectory in terms of putting that faith in McLaren, we didn't actually have them the right way around. So even I had Lando as the higher McLaren driver of the two. Yep. It turned out convenient because that meant his P3 for me did line up nicely. Even though it was the other McLaren driver that did hop on top. But it equaled out to both of us getting a solid 2 from how I calculated together. So we don't actually move any closer, any further apart. So it continues to be...
Who did we predict for the sprint? I actually don't remember.
You had...
the sprint P2.
Signs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I had Lando for P2. And of course, who got P2?
Yeah, it was Max.
Mr. Verstappen got P2. Neither of us would have picked him.
Yeah, that's right. And I was on the right track for P19 as well. I was like, I went bold and said Leclerc, and it was Hamilton. I'm just like,
it was Hamilton. I know. I was going to ask you. I'm like, do you remember who actually got P19? Because I had to look it up. I'm like, who crashed out in that order? I was like, Hamilton first, but Sainz. Because
Sainz didn't start. Yeah, so bloody hell. Yes. So close yet so far.
Yeah, so it means that you were on 33.5 when I'm on 32. It is close. It is still anyone's game. It's not like we've been going the same guesses. We've been pretty independent. Yep. And
I need to start pulling out a gap so that way I have a buffer when I do go my no max P1.
Yeah, I wonder when that's going to happen. It's a mystery to me anyway.
You seem to have it figured out, but okay.
I mean, there's only one logical answer, I'm not going to lie. From here on out.
Sure.
We'll see. But anyway, we are here in Austin. Hey, this could be the place you pick. But I will start by saying sprint we do have to pick. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to pose to you, and I'm going to give you priority for first guess, is we do have Daniel Ricciardo back this weekend with his big old cowboy hat testing in the car I saw. Where will he finish in the sprint for a bonus point? And I can't pick the same as you, and I've barely thought about this because I didn't want it to be unfair.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay.
It's a bonus. So we're getting near the end of the year. We've got to splash in some extra points. I'm not just trying to have excuses to catch up.
I mean, all we got to do is just make it like double points or triple points for the final round if someone runs away with it. And then anyone can win.
It won't matter. It can be anyone.
I think AlphaTauri have the potential to be in the points. I don't know how well Ricciardo will drive coming straight back in. It's a tough one to come straight back into as well, with just the one practice session and then straight into basically all the racing and qualifying and racing.
And that car's been through probably a fair bit of change since he's been gone as well. It's not like it's been static. So
yeah, that's true as well. So I do expect him to come back and settle in reasonably well. I feel like he's going to be in a good mood. One, because he's returning to Formula One, and two, it's in America, and he's
his second home.
He's the America guy instead of the other America. The actual America guy. He is the America guy.
Yeah.
I'll say P9, probably just outside the points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
P9.
very close. I had P10. So I guess
okay,
we're
cool.
similarly thinking.
Neat.
Yes,
That'd be good.
I thought that might be a cheeky way to do it, because why not? I think we did it when he first came back, so I'm like, well, he's
Yes,
coming
you
back
did.
again. We've
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
do it
yeah.
again, but it's a sprint. So
Every
we'll throw it
time
with
he
the
comes
sprint.
back, yeah. If he takes a race off and then comes back, do it again. So sprint P2, it's just gonna go like similar to my actual podium predictions. We talked about this before we started recording. I had to stop thinking about it because the more I thought about it, the more I realized I just can't come up with like a concrete reason, because there's always like, but this could happen. But like you say, the Mercedes if their update goes really well, they could have pace, and they're a bit of an enigma anyway. They were really fast at Qatar. We didn't obviously get to see the full extent of that, but Ferrari are generally pretty quick here. McLaren are obviously very, very quick as well. So who the hell is P2? We saw Max get P2 in the sprint last time out as well. So
and it was kind of a genuine P2. It wasn't like it was a freak accident P2.
I think did he qualify P3 and then dropped back at the start because that Red Bull tends to not be a great starter.
And he was on that
back
medium as well, which was struggling here. So
he did catch up by the end, but anyway. So like you could see Max P2 in the sprint. He hasn't been, it's not been his strong suit this year, obviously. But you start thinking about all that, and it's just like, it's too hard. I'm just going to pick Norris because he's probably going to get it. So I've got Norris for P2. Yep. It could be Piastri. It could be the Ferraris. It could be Russell. Could be Hamilton. Could be Max. Could be Checo. He could have a good one. Maybe. Could happen.
Yes. Maybe something you mentioned there, I've decided to go for it for a hell of it, because I too couldn't decide who might be strongest best of the rest. So I thought, hey, Max P2 again. That sounds good. Let's do that.
I considered that. I actually genuinely
And then if you ask me who's P1, I don't know. I'm not going to answer that question. I don't have to. I don't know. Max P2 is the easiest answer.
Wow, okay.
Maybe a bit of hope, but it's these type of guesses that might claw my way back to overtaking you. So I have to try to go for something a little outside.
It's a genuine guess as well. Like I say, Max's strength has always been the long run on the tires, like particularly that second phase on the tires where no one else can like even
everyone's conserving, and he's like going into stage 2 of his speed.
And he's like, even from the start, like the fresh tire, he's still doing the same lap times, and everyone else has to sort of slow it down to preserve the tires, and he's just running away with it. Whereas in the sprint, that's obviously mitigated somewhat, which is why we saw at Qatar that McLaren was so close to Max, is because they were basically just going all out on the tyres because of the mandated stops. And
he's been quick in quali, but not at every race as he had that massive advantage he started with.
Yes, exactly. So he might finish P2. He's a very, very good chance, actually. I think, given how quick McLaren are and how quick Mercedes looked as well.
But we do have for the main event. I don't think, based on your words before, this is where you're taking your Max L for the year. Maybe you would just
no, I'm not. No, it's not.
Yes, I'm in agreement there. I'm not going to take a second one at this stage for the fun of it. Maybe I will if things play out a certain way, but at this stage, no. You know what, that you can keep that icon there for every preview that we do. It's not going to change at this point.
I'll throw it up like before anything else comes up. It's just going to be like watermarked into the corner.
Just sitting on my shoulder waiting, and then it comes out when the time's ready.
I think he's still. It's definitely getting closer, but I just think on that race pace, he's just absolutely mega. And until I see anything otherwise, I think he's just got it in the bag. So.
It's less of a gimme each time now. He just, like you say, look, it's not a freebie even if he makes a mistake. Now you say, look, if he makes a mistake, then maybe he won't get it. But then he's not making that mistake, so it doesn't matter anywy. He's still going to get it.
That's it.
But yes, it does lead into the rest of the pack. I mean, we've seen some consistency now from McLaren, where they're generally a pretty safe bet, but again, there's still some other unknowns there. Just because someone's got a trim a few races going good, it doesn't then mean that they're automatically gonna be good, right? And even between those two McLaren rivals, although we've said Norris is often quicker on the race, over the whole weekend he seems to have ups and downs, and that ends up in him being behind Piastri, who seems to have that consistency right now and that confidence. So if you're gonna put them up there, which way do you go? Maybe I'll go my P3 P3 first, because I think that might make it interesting. So I've got P3. I've got Norris in P3.
Okay.
Leaves it open for who the P2 is, but this is kind of a no-brainer. I think I'd be surprised if someone doing this didn't put an orange car up there, to be honest, from the signs, but you still could. But yes, Norris for my P3. I still think he'll be strong, but I might have a bit of a theory for my P2, which I'll get into later, but I'll let you take the stage anyway, see if you've gone wacky or safe. Oh no, I don't know if my internet has died or his has. It's over, folks. Go home.
So before I was very rudely interrupted by my computer crashing, let me talk about my P2 and P3 together, which might allude to who I've gone with, but because I didn't want to overthink this, because all the stuff we said before, I'm just going exactly the same I had last week. I'm going Norris, Piastri, P2, P3. Just send them there and just forget about it, because I was thinking, like I said, Mercedes had really, really good pace. They've generally been pretty good here. Russell obviously showed extreme race pace at Qatar. Qatar seemed like a bit of a weird circuit, but it's, I don't know. You start looking at that, and you start looking at Mercedes and Ferrari and their pace generally around this circuit, and you just like rabbit hole, just do the same you did last week, and it'll hopefully work out. So, yeah.
If you're gonna go something else would have stuck out to you, and it didn't. And therefore, well, go with your guns, right?
Yep. So,
you do have a lead to protect after all, but the one going for the lead, certainly thought to go that, but I went, no, this is too simple. This is too safe. Maybe you would go the same. The people want to see a battle. They want to see a fight. So I've instead gone back to a storyline I feel like sometimes works for me and sometimes doesn't.
Oh, boy.
He's a man on the redemption. Man who showed such insane pace in the desert that he's going to stick it to the man and the men, except for Max, and he's going to slide into P2. Mr. George Russell, round of applause. Mr. P2, let's go.
Yep. Yeah.
You may say it's Hamilton who actually has a thing to prove, but no, we didn't get to see him. He was downtrodden. He was walking across the track. The FIA want to make a fool of him now, outing him in the media. He's going to be downtrodden. It's going to be Russell that's going to slide under the spotlight, and he's going to get on that second step of the podium.
Yeah.
So,
do
I truly believe it? I don't know, but it would be cool to see. So I'm going to go with it.
I could see it. That could happen. It could. Who knows?
Indeed.
His qualifying performances have been really solid as well, so he could start very, very high up. And if they've got good race pace, it's entirely possible. I can see it. So yeah,
you're not changing predictions on me, are you?
Nope.
I got this first.
Nah,
what do you mean? I'm not good enough for you?
Yes, I can see about 4 or 5 different iterations for that podium.
You can.
So yeah,
you can. It's funny how one weekend we're like, yeah, Ferrari, they'll go well, and now we're like, who? So yeah. But yes, so hey, if you've got a chance to listen to this to get your own ideas together, please do let us know. Even I think when I was doing a bit of reading online, and you look at what some journalists are thinking, they're all just more looking. They're not sure, right? They're going, well, McLaren should be good, but Mercedes are unknown, but Ferrari's so it's like, hey, what are we going to see here?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see if Checo can keep his job for another weekend. Who knows, right? That's looking great. So we'll also cover that and everything else that happens this weekend right after. Because as we say, we're on a triple header, so we'll be getting the
tight schedule.
Discussions, the videos out back to back to back to back.
And the cat's about to... It's time to
wrap up. It's too long. He's like, hurry up. So, yes, we will catch you back to debrief everything that happens this weekend. And we hope that you enjoy the weekend. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.